Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's U.S. Department of Energy Solar District Cup informational webinar. We're going to give everyone a few more minutes to get logged in, so if you'll just sit tightly, we will begin momentarily. Thanks. All right, I think we're going to go ahead and get started for today. Once again, thank you everyone for joining today's U.S. Department of Energy Solar District Cup Collegiate Design Competition Class of 2021 informational webinar. Before we get started today, I just wanted to go over a few quick housekeeping items. We have two options for connecting to audio to listen to the presentation. You can listen through your computer or by calling in through your phone. Instructions on each of those are listed on the screen right now. If you experience audio issues, we recommend checking your settings and trying one of the other options for connecting your audio. This is a reminder to all of our panelists to please remember to mute yourself when you are not presenting. And if any of our audience members have a question throughout the presentation, please feel free to submit it through the questions pane on your GoToWebinar panel. We will have a Q&A session at the end of today's presentation, but you can submit questions anytime throughout the presentation. Lastly, if you're having difficulty with the webinar today, you can always try contacting the GoToWebinar help desk at the number on your screen. And additionally, a video recording of the presentation will be made available afterward with the slides, so you can always access that afterward. Now I would like to introduce Shamara Collins, Science and Technology Policy Fellow at the U.S. Department of Energy Solar Energy Technologies Office. Shamara, would you like to give a few words of welcome?
Sure. Thank you, Jackie. Hi, everyone. I hope you all can hear me well. It's so nice to be here with you all. Thank you so much for the interest and your enthusiasm in dealing with the Solar District Cup. First, I'd like to thank the National Lab and everyone involved with this initiative, as I think they're doing a great job. I'm fellow in the office, as Jackie noted. I received my bachelor's from Morgan State University in electrical engineering in 2012, and my PhD in electrical engineering in thin film solar cells from the University of South Florida in 2018. And now I'm finishing my fellowship with the Department of Energy. In the inaugural year of the Solar District Cup, I was so encouraged to learn about all of the technical solutions, as well as the diversity of the participants involved and the engagement of the Solar District Cup landowners. I really want to encourage you all to think about the real world solutions and know that you all will be thought leaders and contribute to the real world solutions. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Shamara. We'll quickly go over the agenda for today's presentation. First, we'll do introductions, and I'm not quite sure that I introduced myself, but my name is Jackie Petrie from the National Renewable Energy Laboratory. First, we're going to talk a little bit about the competition and participant expectations. We'll review the official rules and talk about this year's divisions and district use cases. We'll talk about the training that will be provided to participants throughout the competition. Then we'll go into registering your team and adding team members. Then we'll end by talking about what next steps you all have and end with a closing question and answer session. So with that, I'd like to hand things over to my colleague, Joe Simon.
Great, thanks so much, Jackie. So welcome to the U.S. Department of Energy Solar District Cup. This is a multidisciplinary collegiate competition that challenges student teams to design and model distributed energy systems for multiple buildings on a local electrical distribution network, on a campus, across a development, or in an urban district. So in the coming slides, we'll talk to you about how we run the competition, why we think it's important, and how you can engage successfully to learn through doing in this real world-based competition. Next slide, please. So this competition is designed to help students prepare for careers in renewable energy or the energy industry as a whole. We want them to create forward-thinking designs for a campus or urban district, thinking beyond the single system or beyond the single panel, and thinking about how solar plus storage can work productively on multiple buildings, multiple carports, multiple ground mount systems to add value, to add resiliency, and to add a productive financial means for that campus or district. So we see this as an opportunity for students to collaborate across many different disciplines with focuses in engineering, in finance or business, in urban planning, in sustainability, or other areas. So students can work together, can find mentors, can ask faculty for support, or work across different silos of the university to be productive in their participation. Overall, we want the students to show these districts, to show the world, to show the community how electric energy can be generated, managed, and used effectively within urban areas when you think beyond a single rooftop or the existing constraints that might already exist in the marketplace. Next slide. So today we will give you a brief introduction as to who is involved, what you'll do, why you should participate in this competition, how and what you win. We hope this is an introductory level that leaves you excited and leaves you ready for more. And in the coming months and weeks, we will provide a great deal more information so that you can be successful no matter your existing knowledge of solar energy, of battery storage technology, renewable energy finance, or district use case development. We'll provide the tools for every team to succeed and look forward to seeing what you can all come up with. Next slide. You already met Shamara and you've heard my name, Joe. I'm supported by a number of other people at the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, who you'll hear from in part today, Sarah and Jackie. We're also supported by Travis and Adel so that we are able to provide support for conceptual system design, distribution system impact modeling, solar project finance, communications, outreach, and development planning. Together, we will tap other experts across the laboratory complex as well as the industry as a whole so that all teams who participate are able to learn by doing through this real-world based competition. Next slide. We are also excited that we are supported by industry in the work that all of the students who compete are able to do. In 2020, we were supported by a number of different judges who took the time out of their schedules to evaluate the submissions by the teams. These represent people who are owners of their own businesses, who work for solar foundations, who work for the energy industry, who work in solar project finance, or who work for these district use case partners, who are all together able to give really comprehensive and useful constructive feedback, evaluation, comments, and questions to all of our competing teams so they can learn through this process and work collaboratively with each other inside their class, inside their energy club, as an extracurricular activity, or across different disciplines at the university to be successful and to meet more people who may be able to lead them towards productive jobs following graduation or internships in the coming years. Next slide. This is now our second year of the competition, and we are happy to share that in the first year, in 2020, we had 61 participating teams from all across the country, coast to coast, north to south, and of those 61 participating teams, 35 became finalist teams following the submission in November for a project progress deliverable. And in April of 2020, 26 teams presented to judges virtually in 3 parallel divisions. We saw great participation from schools that range from leading engineering schools to community colleges, tribal schools, and others that are able to learn through this process, leverage the resources that are provided by the organizers, and convey an exciting and innovative solution for solar plus storage on their assigned campus or urban district. Next slide. In this project, what do we actually ask you to do? We ask teams, quite simply, to assume the role of a solar plus storage developer and produce a proposal to their assigned district use case representative that analyzes the electric distribution grid interactions for a district use case, to think about the financial modeling, to present how this fits within the campus master plan or the 2030-2050 sustainability goals, and to create a conceptual systems design that shows solar on rooftops, carports, ground mount systems, or other areas. Ultimately, teams are able to present their solutions to judges and industry, receive feedback, and learn not only from their own process, but from the other teams that present as well. Next slide. We're conducting this competition because we feel this is a unique opportunity to help address some workforce development gaps in the energy industry. Whether it's at a utility, it's at a solar developer, it's for a large bank that does renewable energy finance, for architecture, engineering, or other types of firms, there's a need for skilled students who are excited for careers in the energy industry, who understand the difference between a kilowatt and a kilowatt hour, who understand renewable energy project finance, who understand how solar energy systems can impact the distribution energy grid. And all of these different areas will help you advance your careers through this competition. In addition, we're excited to challenge students to think at the bleeding edge of the industry, to go beyond the single rooftop, to go beyond utility scale solar, and to showcase innovative solutions for increased penetration of distributed energy at the campus or district scale. So this is something that you're not seeing very frequently in the industry yet, but we think will be a big thing to come in the years looking forward. This is your opportunity to lead the market forward by proposing innovative new solutions. We want you to inspire industry to think differently about optimized district energy solutions. For faculty who are able to lead a team, students who are able to work across their disciplines, or who have different passions across energy system design, distribution system impacts, finance, marketing, or communications, there's a lot of opportunity for learning, engagement, and input that change the path of renewable energy and energy impacts in the years to come. So why would you participate? How and what do you win? Next slide, please. You win, as I mentioned earlier, by designing a solar and storage system for a campus or district that maximizes energy offset and financial savings. It could respond to some resiliency needs of that district use case, and it could respond to some of the long-term sustainability goals that that campus or university or partner may have. We think that students will gain some valuable experience with real-life examples, and ultimately, you can win a trophy and some national recognition. There was some great media coverage of our winning teams and all of our competing teams for the 2020 edition, which we hope will just grow for 2021. And we're excited that the students are able to meet each other, work with industry partners, find mentors, find jobs, work with their faculty, and go through this process to win experience, to win a trophy, and to win some national recognition. With that, I'll turn it over to Sarah to talk through some more details about participation. Sarah.
Thank you, Joe. My name is Sarah Farrar. I'm a senior project leader at the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, or NREL. I work at our main campus located in Golden, Colorado, or up from home in the nearby suburbs under our current pandemic conditions. So thank you to all of you who are joining us today. We're just so excited to see the interest, already some teams that have registered, and we're pleased to have your time today to present you with this additional information to support your interest or your efforts. So I will proceed in the presentation by talking a little bit more about who participates, why, and what you have to gain from that, a timeline of when to engage, and a few more specifics about how to compete. So next slide, who you are. We have some eligibility conditions that are listed in the Solar District Cup 2021 rules. These are teams of students. In this case, a team is a minimum of at least 3. We have, in last year's experience, seen an average team size of about 8 students. Teams can certainly be larger than that. Some of them were, but it's up to you to determine that size of membership so that you can productively manage the coordination of tasks, the collaboration, and the communications amongst yourselves. I will also mention that in the final competition event, the activity will take place virtually or by a live video conference, and we will probably have something like 5 to 6 students who may present to their division judge panel in that event. So I hope those are some helpful guidelines as you are forming your team and thinking about the size of that team. You must all be enrolled students in an accredited US-based collegiate institution. This might be a community college, a 4-year undergraduate university, or perhaps at the graduate school level. You must be enrolled in at least 1 class and actively pursuing a degree for this fall and spring semester, or fall, winter, and quarter academic calendar of the next 8 months or so. Any level of college students is certainly welcome and eligible to participate, although we have defined the scope of the challenge to be aimed at an upper level undergraduate type of student. I'd really like to emphasize and follow on from Joe's comments that multidisciplinary teams are highly encouraged. So to be successful in the components of what you will complete in this competition, having some coursework or a knowledge in the engineering space, perhaps mechanical, electrical, or civil engineering, and expertise in business or especially finance for renewable energy project development and financing. Also, urban planning, construction management, sustainability or environmental policy degree areas. Architecture would also be relevant for the design aspects. And also colleagues that you may have at your university or collegiate institution in communications or marketing. Ultimately, your final event will be a pitch of your team's proposal to the defined challenge. And there are sort of techniques and for the presentation of that information that would be helpful to have input from fellow students in that communications or marketing area for the team to do its best. We also strongly recommend a faculty advisor or mentor, although this is not required to be accepted as a team. Next. So to say a little bit more about why to participate, following on Joe's introduction and overview, this is your chance to build experience with innovative renewable energy design. This is an opportunity for experiential learning in a hands-on context in the form of the design, modeling, and analysis that you will do as part of this challenge. It's your opportunity to develop a real-world solution that shapes the future of the clean energy industry, particularly solar plus storage systems at the distributed scale. This is an opportunity for you to network with industry for career connections. So through your team mentors, with the competition judges, and in a few additional areas that we will provide as part of your competition experience. This is an opportunity for you to enhance your education and to build your resume, ultimately for career development. We have tried to structure this competition so that it can be easily integrated into existing educational programs, perhaps as a senior design or capstone project. It may serve as the content for an elective or independent study course credit. It could be built in as part of a class with existing instructional curriculum or perhaps part of a thesis effort. It may be a suitable topic as part of a seminar series, an activity for students to collaborate on as part of an interest club or some other kind of extracurricular activity at your collegiate institution. Next slide. Another reason for you to participate is what you will gain in the learning experience through some training and resources that we are providing free of charge to those students and teams who register. We are excited and honored to partner with the HeatSpring Learning Platform as one of our competition partners. There will be some training webinars that we provide both live and recorded through this learning platform that are specific to the Solar District Cup rules, district use cases, and kind of scope of work areas for the challenge. You also will have access to content that is produced for a solar executive MBA program through this HeatSpring learning platform and interface. We're going to provide you with some open office hours with industry experts for various modeling tools and analysis techniques that you will use as part of this project, as well as some kind of nuts and bolts and how-to type training videos for those specific tools. Next, we are partnering with Aurora Solar to provide a student team access to that particular tool for their conceptual solar design. You are welcome to use any software or modeling tool that you like, but we are delighted to partner with Aurora Solar as one option that you may pursue, along with some training materials for using that software. So all of the participating teams who successfully register will be given student access to this online cloud design and analysis software for the duration of this competition. We're also very excited to partner with Solar Power Events. They are the hosts of really a premier international conference known as Solar Power International, typically held somewhere in the US in the fall season, this year in a virtual format. So again, to those students and teams who successfully register by the deadline, we will share with you information for complimentary passes to attend this year's Solar Power International virtual trade show and some of the associated learning sessions and technical panel sessions. We also will be providing access to the competing team presentations from the class of 2020, and I'll say a little bit more about how to access those later in this webinar today. So the next part of this presentation is to give you an orientation when to engage. So this is a roughly 8-month effort, and there are some very specific milestone dates when there are particular things that are due on a deadline in order to be successful as a team to get across the finish line of the Solar District Cup. So today is September 10th. Again, thank you for joining us for this informational webinar. This timeline, next slide, information and additional details are provided in the Solar District Cup 2021 rules. So if you'd like to go back to reference these dates, you'll find that summary timeline in the front section of the rules document. Okay, so next we're going to give you just a brief introduction to the district use cases that we are anticipating for the class of 2021. So I would like to turn the speaking back to my colleague, Joe.
Great, thanks so much, Sarah. So for the Solar District Cup, we want students and their faculty to be able to spend as much time as possible developing solutions and creating innovative new ideas, not spinning their wheels, seeking data, defining constraints, and focusing on identifying a problem worth solving. And so what we do is we assign a district use case to every team that applies. And as worked in the 2020 edition, we have 3 different district use case partners who have agreed to provide energy data, to provide master plan goals, to provide constraints, and to provide feedback to teams through the judging process, who are able to listen to the ideas presented by the students and use the information received to influence future design decisions for their campus. So these district use cases are assigned to teams based on the order of registration. So we go one, then the next one, then the next one. There's no choosing, and all are designed to have interesting and equal opportunities for innovation, engagement, and problem solving, and allowing the students to really jump in early on to consider different rooftop, ground mount, and carport type solar plus storage solutions for these multi-building campuses and urban districts. So the first district partner is between the City of Denver and the Auraria Higher Education Center. This is a dual jurisdictional district split between a multi-university campus site and municipal buildings. This use case presents some really interesting challenges in working with 2 different off-takers and addressing some utility network constraints tied into the network for downtown Denver. So there's some unique master plan goals, changes, and growth strategies that teams would need to consider when developing their solar plus storage systems for this urban district. Second is the University of Nebraska-Lincoln's East Campus, which has a laboratory with critical loads for the battery and resilience portion of the competition. And this use case also challenges students to develop an agrivoltaic or agriculture integrated photovoltaic system for this campus. So you can consider the multiple building rooftops, growth strategies, parking, agriculture, and critical research needs that are necessary for this multi-building district use case. And finally is the University of Central Florida, which tests students' ground mount design skills and could also offer the opportunity to design a photovoltaic system. So this is a tight campus with a number of impactful buildings, unique load profiles, and some constraints that could lead to some innovative solutions from all of our competing teams. As mentioned, these are provided to teams so that you're able to jump right in with research, innovation, and solution development, not having to spend several months trying to track down the data that we've developed for you. How does this look in the competition, though? Can we move to the next slide, please? The way that you can think of this is that we will have a certain number of teams compete. As mentioned from 2020, we had 61 teams register to begin with, so we had about 20 teams in each of our 3 divisions. So teams were assigned to these divisions by the competition organizers, and ultimately the teams compete to make progress on their designs. At the point at which the teams presented to judges, we had 26 teams presenting, and they were distributed across the 3 divisions as 9, 9, and 8. So they were evenly structured, and they're able to present those 9 teams to the judges, and those judges are then tasked to identify a first, second, and third place team for each division. From there, our divisions first place teams present to a plenary of all attendees, all students, all faculty, industry members, and others, so that everyone has an opportunity to see the first place winners and is able to interact to identify a proposal pitch winner of the 3 first place division teams. So we really look forward to using this as a way to provide a number of projects, a number of innovations, and an engagement with judges that is meaningful and useful so that all the students can present to these judges in a way where everyone can get useful feedback, can have useful conversations, and can see the other teams present so that the ideas can seed the future decisions of the district use cases, and the solutions can rise to the top to identify 9 winners across these 3 district use case divisions. Next slide, please. So I mentioned our use cases, but what do you get? By participating in the Solar District Cup, we are going to give you a great set of constraints. So you can think of this like a call for proposals that a campus or district may put out to a solar plus storage developer to say, we would like to increase the renewable energy and resiliency of our campus. Please submit proposals for what you might do given these constraints. And so we will provide every team a secure online data room that will have information about the annual interval energy usage. So think about 15-minute annual energy data for multiple buildings on the campus. We'll provide some information on the distribution system and substations, so you can really think about it from the utility distribution point of view, understand the constraints of putting a very large solar system within this district. What would that require for changes to transformers, wire sizes, or other issues? And we'll provide some district Google Earth map with identifiers. We'll also provide information about the campus description, sustainability goals, and unique challenges of interest to the district use case partner. All of this information will serve as the challenge document that outlines the use case and the task for the students to solve. Next slide, please. With that, I hope that you're convinced. I hope that you're excited to participate in this competition, to feel the thankfulness that our competitors, about 500 in total that participated in 2020, felt at the end of the competition, that they gained from their participation with their team, their inspiration, the connection, overcoming obstacles, and overall being able to participate. We know this is a really challenging and uncertain time for universities, for the world, and all of these different areas. The Solar District Cup for 2021 will exist in an all virtual environment. Whether your students can gather in a room together for their innovation and ideation sessions, or they all compete virtually, that is okay with us. We will host all of our webinars online. We will have the judges gather for presentations by students in a virtual format, just as we did in April of 2020. And we see this as a really great way to bring collaboration, communication, passion, and forward thinking to a time of uncertainty when we don't necessarily know who's on campus, who's off campus, how are people gathering. This is an environment in which we think that students and faculty alike can pursue innovation, can pursue passion, can pursue collaboration, working across silos of their universities, different passions of their students to develop solar plus energy solutions that move the industry forward. We really hope that you'll participate. And now that I'm confident you're all convinced, I'll turn it back to Sarah to tell you how to register a team and what the next steps might look like, assuming that you're all convinced. Sarah. So I misspoke. This is still on my slides. I go back to Sarah later. My apologies, everyone. So how do you register a team? Our main communication platform is at a website called HeroX, which is a public competition site, and we have created a page at Solar District Cup. So you can go to herox.com/Solar District Cup to learn about all of the constraints of the competition. You can see we have about 690 people who are following the competition at this time. This includes some former competitors from Solar District Cup 2020, as well as many new competitors who are excited for the 2021 edition. When you're ready to compete, you can choose the button Solve This Challenge. This will indicate your interest and prompt you to create an account with HeroX if you don't already have some. You'll agree to the terms of use, which generally say you should follow the rules of the competition, confirm your email address, and then agree to participate. You'll need to indicate whether or not you would like to compete as a team, but note that this is all flexible. So you can say, yes, I want to create my own team if you already know some email addresses of team members who will be participating with you. It will give you a prompt where you're able to put your name onto the email addresses so that they get an invite at the same time you are creating a team. Secondly, you can say you would like to join a team. This is useful if you know that your colleagues or your faculty have already created a team and an account. You can then go find that team and request to join the team of someone else from your school. And ultimately, if you're excited to participate right now, but you don't know who's going to participate with you yet, you can choose, no, I want to compete individually, and you'll always be free to join other teams later to invite other students or faculty to join your team. You'll form this team. Someone will be identified as a team captain, and then you're able to move forward to the register phase of this process. So if we go to the next slide. Once you're on the HeroX account, before the registration deadline of September 29th, one person from each team must click Begin Entry and then submit a register entry on HeroX. This is where you'll identify your actual collegiate institution name, because if you registered your HeroX account with johnsmith@gmail.com, I don't necessarily know which school you're with. And then every registration entry that is submitted by the deadline are deemed participating teams. It's important to note that all teams who successfully complete a register entry and meet eligibility are accepted. So you are not competing against each other. There's not a certain number of slots available. The Department of Energy has funded this competition. It's free to participate, and the more the merrier. We'd love to see more teams compete. Note that once you submit that register entry, assuming that you're able to show that you're from a US-based institution, you have some students engaged who will be active degree-seeking students, we will be able to accept you as a competing team. We'll then assign divisions following the closing of the registration in September 29th, and note that we can have multiple teams from a single school. So because we have 3 different divisions, those 3 different teams from each division are able to compete in parallel, and we just can't have more than 1 team per division. So you can have up to 3 teams in each division, and that's what we're expecting to do at this time. Note that only one person per team should submit or register entry. Other members that join that team will do so via HeroX. You can add team members at any time, whether before or after September 29th. So you do not have to have your entire team identified to be able to do a registration entry by September 29th. So next slide. So what do we ask for in that registration platform? We ask for a title to a submission and a short description. Note these are default entries from HeroX, and so it's helpful to share what you're excited about, what your team name might be, what your submission name might be, but it doesn't ultimately affect your final project. What we do care about is the name of your collegiate institution, what name you'll give yourself. That helps us to identify if there's multiple teams from each school, and what disciplines you might expect of your expected students. This is, again, not necessary. You could have this change at a later date. You could find other people, but this helps us to really understand how you participate and who's expected to join. Indicate a role on team, whether you're a student or faculty advisor, and let us know some preferred email for communications from the organizers. While we'll primarily use the HeroX platform for our communication means, it allows us to post messages, updates, notifications, resources, files, do judging, allow submissions. By asking you to give us this preferred email communication, we can sometimes cut through the noise that is HeroX and reach out to you directly if we have any questions or concerns. So now I believe is when I'm supposed to turn things over to Sarah. So Sarah, maybe you can talk us through what happens after registration.
Joe, thank you so much. So we'll go back to the view of the summary timeline. So what is it that you can do within the next 3 weeks? So certainly be mindful of that deadline to register a participating team. This is at 5 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday, September 29th. That will be followed by our announcement of those participating teams, and no later than October 6th, we will inform each of you as a team to which division and to which district use case you are assigned. So that's really going to be exciting to see the number of teams that are accepted through that registration process, and for you to have your district use case assignment. There's still useful things, however, to do between now and then. So in the next slide, I've highlighted a few of these items. If you haven't already, please read the rules. So this is about a 30-page document, including appendices, with just all the important details that you'll need to know to be prepared and on which to follow through. So you can find this document on the HeroX Solar District Cup page on the Resources tab. We have also publicly posted the recordings of the 15-minute project presentations that were made by the class of 2020. So 2016s who were competing in that final competition event. 15 minutes, up to 15 minutes of presentations that they made to their judging panels. This is available on NREL's Learning channel in a YouTube playlist. So when you receive this presentation slide deck, this will be hyperlinked. You can also find that YouTube playlist available on the HeroX, I think in the FAQ, Frequently Asked Questions tab, and we'll also post that link in the Resources tab. As I mentioned earlier, we're just pleased and honored to be partnering with the HeatSpring Learning platform for curriculum support, and the place that we will house recordings of training, webinars, and office hours. So watch for an announcement starting Monday, September 21st, where you can set up your account in HeatSpring and start to take advantage of the training modules. that we are providing with that partnership with HeatSpring. And also be building a team. So recruiting multidisciplinary interested team members, confirming if you're all participating as an extracurricular activity or perhaps with some kind of existing curriculum or course credit opportunity, identify one or more faculty advisor and find mentors. And I'd like to give you some creative ideas of where you might find those mentors. So of course, teachers, university staff, perhaps research associates at the university, maybe emeritus professors or adjunct instructors, perhaps faculty from other departments would be one way to provide that multidisciplinary expertise onto your team. You may also find other industry professionals to be a resource. You could consider contacting collegiate alumni from your institution who have careers in this industry. You may consider contacting local chapters of professional societies or associations. An example would be the Institute for Electronic and Electrical Engineers, IEEE. If there's a local chapter in your city or town, either your hometown where you may be living or remotely attending school, or perhaps in the location of your university campus. Very often, professionals who are engaged in these local professional societies or associations really enjoy the opportunity to include students in their memberships and to be engaged with those student efforts. Your local electric utilities are one area that are feeling this workforce development gap in prospective employees who are knowledgeable in these aspects of the distributed energy industry. And so staff from the local electric utilities may again see the opportunity for kind of bringing up this next generation of their workforce. So I hope that's helpful for you to think creatively about how to find mentors to help advise and consult your team. We do expect, of course, the submittals from the teams to be entirely a student effort in terms of the modeling, the analysis, and the writing of and presenting of the deliverables for the competition. But to have reviewers, advisors, or coaches in the form of a faculty advisor or mentors, you may find helpful to your success. So next slide, continuing just to give you an orientation to the timeline of the competition. Next slide, we are excited to host what we call a warm-up workshop on October 8th. We'll be sending you additional details on the exact time for that Thursday, October 8th, to reserve on your calendars. About a 3-hour live video conference, including some break time, to give you a deeper dive and walk through the rules, more information and orientation for each of the district use cases. We'd like each of you to introduce yourselves as a team to each other. We'll provide you a few tips for how to be a successful team, take home glory, and provide some guest speakers who have various areas of experience in doing the modeling and analysis that we are asking you to complete as part of the Solar District Cup. Also watch for an announcement for registering to attend the Solar Power International Virtual Trade Show. Again, we as the competition organizers will be providing you with a code that gives attendance free to you. So normally this is about a $400 cost for individuals to attend this virtual trade show. And in our partnership with Solar Power Events, this will be free for you as students, also as faculty advisors to attend. So continuing to step through the timeline, there are some deadlines to be aware of as you are planning your competition activities amidst your coursework. So November 19th is the next stage gate after registration. It is the deadline to submit the progress deliverable package by you as the registered or participating teams. So in the next slide, just a reminder of the summary that this progress deliverable package is for the scope of one or more solar systems in your assigned district use case. This will include an executive summary, the beginning of your conceptual system design, the preliminary distribution system impact analysis, the initial financial analysis, as well as several components of a development plan. This deliverable will be reviewed by NREL staff. We are looking for you to meet certain criteria as spelled out in the rules in the front section as well as in the appendices. We've given you a lot of specifications and a checklist in how to complete these deliverables and meet our expectations. At this stage, you are not competing against each other. You are showing us that you have made progress towards completing the deliverables, final competition deliverables with this progress, and that you have met a certain defined baseline of that progress. So at this stage, you're just competing amongst yourselves. So next slide, following that November 19th deadline for the progress deliverable package, we will, a couple weeks later, by December 17th, announce those finalist teams who are progressing into the next phase of the competition. We will also be providing each team some feedback of our observations and potential areas of improvement for your progress deliverable package as you build upon that. The next deadline will be April 15th. This is for you to submit the final deliverable package by those who progressed as finalist teams. So in the next slide, you'll see a very similar bullet list. This final deliverable package is for your proposed solar systems plus one or more battery energy storage systems as a solution for the district use case. So this is to be in the form of a project proposal. Again, we have spelled out the specifications and provided a checklist of formatting and content requirements. This project will be supported by the in-depth demonstration of your conceptual system design, the distribution system impact analysis, the financial analysis, and the development plan. Also associated with this final deliverable package will be a pitch, presentation format of your project proposal. So next slide, the judges will spend about a week reviewing your final deliverable packages and will culminate their evaluation of the teams in their division with the presentation to the judges by a live video conference. So in the next slide, we give you just a couple of visuals of sort of, what does that look like? So the Solar District Cup 2020 final competition schedule, you can see the 3 divisions identified by last year's district use cases presented in parallel. And we had just very lively and dynamic interactions with the presenting students and the Q&A sessions with the judges during each of those sessions. On Monday, April 26th, the division first place teams will present to an open session for which we will invite a broad audience, and by a vote of that audience, determine the overall pitch winner for the Solar District Cup 2021. So I hope this was helpful as you think about what is it going to take to be a team to cross that finish line. To recap next steps, I turn things back to your Solar District Cup competition manager, Joe Simon.
Great. Thanks so much, Sarah. As mentioned, we know that this is a lot of information. There's a lot going on, but we hope that you're excited about the opportunity to work on one of 3 real-world based districts for which the district use case partner is very intrigued to hear your ideas, to incorporate that into future decision maker, and to show industry judges show your mentors and show your faculty what might be possible when you think about solar plus storage on the campus or district scale. So for your next steps, you should continue to find some support. So if you are a student, find other students to join you, or a faculty advisor who might be willing to give you advice. Maybe you're with an energy club, a sustainability club, or otherwise want to participate as an extracurricular activity. If you're a faculty advisor, you may be able to incorporate this into a capstone or senior design project. You may be incorporating this into some existing projects or leading students who are passionate about these topics. We encourage you to find some students, think about what their involvement might be and how that participation could work. As mentioned, this is structured as a 2-semester or full academic year competition. However, because of the progress deliverable submission, there can be some work done this year and more substantial work done in the spring as required based on the various structure of the university. So you should recruit, you should think about registering a team by September 29th. Again, there is no cost to participate. There are always some teams that need to withdraw for unforeseen reasons. That is okay. Please do register if you're interested in participating. It helps us to only communicate with those people who need to register. Note that if you register early, we will give you early access to the Heat Spring training platform. We'll give you early access to Solar Power International educational sessions and other benefits when you register before September 29th. But by October 6th, we will announce publicly all of the competing schools and teams, and then we will support you throughout the coming months to be able to learn using the resources provided. So these are the training webinars, the one-on-one Q&A sessions, the tool access to things like Aurora Solar, the access to partnership with HeatSpring or other industry professionals, and then just spend time on design, refining, and optimization of your solutions. Do make sure you read the rules along the way, as you always want to compete within the same constraints as everyone else. So in summary, recruit some partners, register by September 29th or before September 29th, and then look forward to a successful participation in the Solar District Cup. I think that's all we have for today. Next slide. So we have just a couple minutes left, and I know myself and my colleagues would be willing to spend a few minutes extra past the hour to answer any questions that are placed in the question chat box. But otherwise, energy.gov/Solar District Cup for introductions, and remember herox.com/Solar District Cup to register on the competition platform itself. This webinar is being recorded, and we will send out a link to those who registered for the program as well.
Thanks so much, Joe and Sarah. So we're going to go through as many questions as we can right now. Let's see, we have a question about eligibility. Would a student qualify to compete if they are an American citizen but are attending a foreign university?
Unfortunately, the rules as written limit participation to be US-based institutions. Given the funding from Department of Energy, as well as the unique electrical distribution and utility grid constraints of North America and the United States, this competition is limited to US-based institutions and students attending those institutions. Do note, however, we don't have any restriction on citizenship of the students attending those US-based institutions or where they're physically sitting when they choose to participate in this more and more virtual world.
Great. And do team members have to all be attending the same college, or can you build a team with students from multiple collegiate institutions?
You do not all have to be attending the same college. We encourage that type of collaboration. My only advice to you would be to be sure that you plan successful communications and delegation of responsibility early. So you're welcome to have multi-institution partnerships, just plan for your own success, because it can become challenging as you're spread in different institutions with different deadlines and different expectations.
So if we had a question that says, I'm a recent graduate, but will be enrolling in a master's program for the spring, will I be eligible for this year's Solar District Cup competition?
That is a great question. I will double check and make note of who asked this question to follow up with you after the program in the way that the rules are written. But because the team makeup can change at any point in time during the competition, when we're actually checking for that eligibility would be when you are presenting to judges in April of 2021. So assuming that you are an enrolled student pursuing an active degree as of that April 2021 participation, that should be fine from the way I understand the rules. Sarah, please speak up if you disagree with that.
Yes, I would say it's kind of on the edge of how we've defined this in the rules. So we'll certainly confirm otherwise. It is our intention for students to be enrolled for both the fall and the spring, or semesters, or fall, winter, spring quarters. But this particular case is very close to that. So we'll assume yes, unless you hear from us otherwise.
Great. And is it a requirement or a strong recommendation that all students on a team have a background in some sort of STEM major?
So this is Sarah. No, we listed those common degree programs for which we think students probably have some preliminary coursework or educational content that would serve them well in the competition, but we welcome students in from any degree program that they may be pursuing, any topic.
And I will second that as well. And so whether it's a liberal arts school, a community college, technical college, or other areas, our goal here from the Department of Energy and the organizers of this program is to provide the basic level of knowledge and resources so that any team, no matter your starting knowledge on these topics, can get to the finish line. Of course, there's different differentiation as to how much effort you put in, how much planning, learning, mentorship you're able to find, but we want to provide enough resources on how to do conceptual system design, how to do solar and renewable energy project finance, and other areas. So no matter what your degree program is, no matter what type of school you are, there's a way and a path forward for your team to get to that finish line. It's also very important, because this program is structured with a project pitch, that communication is key, marketing is key, messaging is key. Can you tell your story well? There may be a team of all engineers who has designed a very excellent system but cannot communicate why it's excellent. Then there's a different team that may be able to communicate very well and do well in the competition in that unique approach. So we encourage whatever discipline it is, the basic requirement is a passion and an interest, and we hope to provide the resources necessary for any team to be able to cross the finish line.
Great. And can you provide a little bit more clarity on whether this is solely focused on solar, or if other forms of energy can be integrated into the system designs?
This is Sarah. It is by title, the Solar District Cup. And so the focus of the content requirements and the training for the modeling tools is on distributed scale, solar photovoltaic electric generation systems combined with battery energy storage systems. Obviously, there are other energy solutions, such as combined heat and power, or other forms of energy delivery systems at a district scale that may be already in use by the district use cases, or a potential candidate of interest. However, if you recall the earlier orientation, we are asking you as student teams to, in effect, or equivalently respond as if we have issued a request for proposals or an RFP for a solar plus storage development. If in your proposal you want to acknowledge or include additional district energy systems, you could absolutely do that. But your proposal must at least include distributed solar PV and battery energy storage.
And I guess going off of that, for the energy storage system, do students have to design based on the battery, or can they propose other options such as fuel cell technology and electrolyzer?
So this is Sarah again. We have specified a battery energy storage system to be analyzed as part of the competition structure. Again, similar to perhaps looking at additional district systems, if there are additional energy storage systems beyond battery energy storage systems that you think could be cost effective as a district solution, given the anticipated utility rate structure or existing infrastructure at a district, those could be considered as well.
Great. And is solar thermal excluded?
Good. These are all good clarifications about the scope of the technologies to be considered. So it is not excluded per se, but you start with the analysis of solar, electric, PV, and battery energy storage. And again, if there are additional solar or other distributed or district scale technology or energy delivery or storage systems that you think would be a good candidate, you could add that as part of your analysis and proposal response as well.
Great. Moving a little bit into team makeup. I know we're just a few minutes over, but looks like we still have some people hanging out to listen to these answers. So we'll just go through a couple more. What if someone wants to participate but doesn't currently have team members lined up?
Sure. So this is Joe. So a few thoughts. One is reach out to the organizers and ask us if anyone else has expressed interest or registered from your university. We might be able to connect you with people that you're not aware of. So that is something we're happy to check in our databases and see if anyone from your school has already in parallel expressed interest in the competition. Second, I would recommend looking at the related fields or topics of your university. So you may have a sustainability office, you may have a capstone director, you may have an energy club or a sustainability club that you can find the president or faculty advisor for, and you can reach out and say, I learned of this interesting competition, I'm intrigued, but I can't do it alone. Do you know of any other people who might be interested in joining me? And that can often lead to some really interactive and beneficial relationships, friendships, and partnerships moving forward, particularly because you're starting that conversation with an end goal in mind and a very clear ask that someone is able to respond yes or no to. So any of those approaches, contact the organizers. We'll let you know if we know other people at your school. Reach out to your sustainability office, energy office, and capstone directors, related type coordinators of your university. And third, look for related clubs that might exist on your campus.
Great. Is there a requirement or a recommendation on how many members should be on each team?
Sure. So there's a requirement that each team has at least 3 members. As Sarah mentioned, the final presentation to judges is limited to 5 during that 15-minute presentation, though additional members can participate in Q&A. Our average number of team members was about 7 or 8 on each of our teams competing for 2020. You can be larger than that. We've had entire classes compete as a team, or entire clubs that may have 15 or 30 members. I would just caution teams that get large to think very carefully about effective communication and delegation of responsibility. Because when you get to 15 or more people, it can be hard for any one person to know what they're supposed to be doing to move the project forward. So minimum of 3, 5 get to present to judges, average of 7 or 8, but can be larger than that as well.
This is Sarah. I will also add there's other potential creative sort of team formation depending on how you organize yourselves and are dedicated to that collaboration and managing communications and kind of delegating assignments and so forth. So let's say a large senior design class could take on this competition and have, let's say, something like 3 or 4 teams within the class and have a mini competition within the class and pick the one team solution to put forward from their class of several teams as the progress deliverable or the final deliverable.
Great. For anybody who would be graduating in the spring of 2021, so that might be before the final presentation date, are they still eligible to compete?
Yes.
The goal here is that if your school and you graduate on April 16th, we're not going to say you can't present your project on April 25th. So think of this as the academic year active participation in your university and degree program. And our goal here in having the program end in April is for most schools, but not all schools. This exists before finals, but late enough in the semester and academic year that you could have done a sufficient amount of work. So that's why we picked that April timeframe, but we know it's not perfect for every school and every situation.
And if say a club, an extracurricular club was competing, could they have multiple teams competing?
Absolutely. So as mentioned, we're happy to have one team per division from every school. And at this point in time, we're expecting 3 divisions. If in the coming weeks we see an explosion in interest and we need to identify an additional division, we may, but it's unlikely. 3 worked really well for 2020, and we're looking forward towards working with 3 divisions for 2021. So at this point, the expectation is up to 3 teams per collegiate institution.
Great. And I think we should probably wrap up here, but just to give everyone a final reminder of when and where the slides and video recording will be made available.
Sure. So we will put the recording on herox.com/Solar District Cup in the resources section. So you do not need to register, you not need to create an account to access that resources page. So there'll be a link to both the PDF of these slides and the recording of the audio on herox.com/Solar District Cup in the resources tab. We'll also let those who registered for this webinar know via email when that recording and slide deck is available. For anyone who is interested in learning more, the simplest place for information is energy.gov/Solar District Cup. That contains the most summary information. And for those who are really engaged and are ready to sign up, it's herox.com/Solar District Cup, which is where you can choose solve this challenge, confirm your account, and then begin your register entry for your team. Again, the deadline is September 29th.
We also welcome, for those of you who like to promote your activities, to tag any of that enthusiasm that you may publish to social media, #Solar District Cup.
Yes, and as always, the email address solardistrictcup@nrel.gov is where you can submit any remaining questions that we didn't have time to address in today's presentation. And with that, I think we will close things out for today. Thank you, Sarah and Joe and Shamara, for giving all of this information. Joe or Sarah, anything else you want to say?
My closing words is just thank you for your attention, your participation. With so much information overload going on at this time, we hope that you find this an interesting opportunity to participate virtually in a real-world solar and storage renewable energy focused project that can impact both the careers of competing students and the market moving forward for our district use case partners. Entirely free to participate, no need to plan for travel. We will be all virtual for 2021.
This is Sarah. One closing remark. You learned a little bit about Shamara's background in her welcome remarks. Joe, Simon, and myself, Sarah Ferrara, are both products of making careers somehow linked back to our own student design competitions while we were in our respective degree programs. So we strongly believe in the contribution of these competitions to successful careers. Are delighted that you're thinking about it, joined us on the webinar today, and look forward to further interactions with you as participants and competitors. Thank you so much.